Hey, so recently we unpacked the Himi gouache set, and I said I bought them for a project, and this is actually that project. So this is a school project. It's a painting I have to do of someone from the Odyssey, because that's what we're reading in class right now. So honestly, the project is not as important as the painting, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. I have never really been a painter. I really liked watercolors. I used those for a while, but acrylics really never worked for me, and I've been much more of a digital artist. I use a lot of Posca markers. Those are very fun, and I was really excited to see gouache because I see a lot of people use them. So I went to Blick and I bought an 18 by 24 canvas. It wasn't too expensive, and the Himi gouache set I just got off Amazon. So earlier I drew a bunch of thumbnail poses. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, and because this is a relatively big canvas, I really wanted to plan out what I did before I did it. So I started off by drawing him in different poses before deciding on just a straight-on portrait. I had a lot of different texts and stories to go off of for him, but mainly this character is a blind man who has a lot of bird and snake symbolism, so I toyed with that a lot. Originally, I was just going to do him, and he was just going to be there, and he had just kind of a wary look to him. I played around with maybe the snake wrapping around his head before thinking about maybe the snake winding in the background, which is what I ultimately ended up doing. I did a bunch of thumbnail sketches, and I played around with what I wanted his eyes to look like since he is blind. I didn't know whether I should do cataracts or maybe slits, like snake slits, but I ended up doing just glowing eyes. Then I toyed around with the bird aspect of his character. I gave him bird wings, I had wings covering his eyes, I did all of this different stuff. But honestly, I ended up really liking the snake one the most. So I took the thumbnail and I sent it to my iPad, and I color graphed it. Now, I was doing a lot of practice paintings with the gouache that I'd gotten because I had no idea how to use it. This is the project I got this for, and I didn't know how to use the gouache at all. And the paintings I was doing is mostly of people because that's what I was going to end up painting. I absolutely hated doing skin tones. I could not figure out how to do them correctly with the colors I had, and that is ultimately what made me end up doing this completely monochromatic color scheme. I started by basically coloring really basic rough shapes on my iPad, just on top of the sketch I had drawn. It had lots of different color variations, but I really liked this blue color. The character in the Odyssey is a ghost that Odysseus talks to, so I wanted it to kind of reflect this kind of mystical, ancient prophet idea. So the all-black color scheme really seemed to work. And you can see kind of in the corner the drawing I'm going off of. So I opened up the canvas, I just put it down, and I started drawing. The drawing probably took me an hour because I had drawn this character probably 100 times, whether it was on my sketchbook for the thumbnails, but I had drawn him and I knew exactly what I wanted him to look like. Even then, I did mess up the face and ended up needing to make it bigger. And ultimately, the drawing did end up a tad bit crooked, but you can't even tell in the end. It's probably been a week since I did this drawing because I've been getting all the footage together and editing, but I have made another painting, same size since then, because I got the painting canvases in bulk, which is what I recommend if you can. They tend to be cheaper. But I can see how I've grown so much. Also, I didn't paint a person, which people are so hard to paint because, and you can see me referencing my sketchbook right there to go back and see what I drew. I really wanted him to look old and weathered, and I really think I got that theme across. Anyway, this painting is probably the biggest and hardest painting I've done so far, and for a first painting, it is not bad at all. Okay, so actually starting the painting. So I had a little practice at this point. As I said earlier, I had done some basic paintings that were just to try and figure out what I like to do with this color set. I also watched a few videos. I didn't find any of them quite helpful, although a few of them had a few tips that I did use in this scenario. I don't remember exactly what videos I watched. If I do, I'll tag them in the description. So I heard from most of the videos I watched that you're supposed to do an underpainting, which was really helpful for just color. It's basically doing flat colors on digital, if you're talking digital art. So laying down all the colors you want and then adding detail. I ended up laying down the colors I wanted and just doing the details right after that, which is one of the mistakes I made, among the many mistakes I made. But here's the basic blue. It was extremely watery for the background. I probably could have done it a lot thicker, but I was very afraid of covering up the pencil. And then I was doing the little snake that winds around the back. And this is also just another really dark shade of blue. It's basically black. And it's also quite watery. I do think I'd go in and do another layer, but I'm not sure. I basically just worked around the figure, adding layer upon layer of very thick paint. Honestly, there are so many things wrong with this painting. If I were to go back and change something, I would probably change the stuff I do later, because everything I'm doing right now is okay, but honestly, I think I would tell myself not to be afraid to go in with Posca markers, which I'm a lot more proficient at, and do detail with Posca, which is a lot easier and more fun because you have more control over the brush. Also, this entire time, I was working with the biggest brush I had, and I will continue to do this throughout this painting process. I don't know why I had it in my head that I needed to use such a big brush, especially when doing small details, like his hair and eyes and nose and rest of face. I really like square brushes. Don't know why. I think you can get all sorts of shapes with them, but that's just the brushes I use. But I also feel like for organic shapes, which there is a lot of, I definitely needed to go in with a round brush. So I finished up this little snake thing, and I continuously add layers because no amount of layers was good enough for me. And then I realized how pale and opaque the back looks. And then I did this weird thing by the front, and none of the black had dried, so it ended up being this really weird sore spot that I had to go in and fix later. I then sat there and looked at it for such a long time, contemplating what I had just done. What have I done? And then I, of course, went back to my reference image because that's what I should have been doing when I started the painting. Oh my goodness, why wasn't I looking at the reference image when I started the painting? I didn't color match? That's the whole point for the base painting. Oh my gosh. So apparently I just winged the background. Also, none of the colors were as vibrant as I wanted them to be. So then I moved on to his skin. And, I was so afraid of covering up that pencil. So I did all the bulky bits and I did really thin layers. You can see the pencil. Why was I... So many questions for past self, but I've improved. So I just laid down all the base colors. The black has not dried yet, as I can clearly see. But, who cares? None of these colors are correct anyway. I did all the basic color down, laying down. I even colored in the hair for some reason. Oh, yeah, there goes that black. No, I don't know. This is so painful to watch. I'm just gonna... What you're watching right now is shading, which I still don't know how to do. My rendering is probably the weakest point in all of my art, and I really want to I just need to do more studies on it. So a lot of the videos I watched recommended that I put down my lightest color first, which, that was helpful. It meant I didn't think I needed to do highlights, which I didn't do. I really should have done highlights. But honestly, I don't know where I got this idea of shading from, because that's not how faces look, but I have no idea where the light source is coming from because I didn't render, and this is just really basic shading. I will not touch the area around the eyes for a really long time because I do the eyes last, which honestly, that's a fine decision. I don't care. The eyes really pop. But I've lost the shape of the eyes, so when I freehanded them later, they just look horrific. So now I'm going in for the hair. I wanted this kind of white wispy hair, but I really wanted it to be opaque like I did in the drawing, so you still have that shimmery bit of blue coming through, creating like a bluey gray. This is not what I did. I did white. And it ended up mixing with all the other colors because I don't wait for any colors to dry, ever. His hair was probably the biggest focal point for me while I was doing all the sketches. It probably changed the most throughout all the drawings and thumbnails I did because I wanted to give him this really long wispy beard and really long craggly hair, and that just covered his face most of the time, which is what I wanted his focal point to be, his eyes. But so this is the point where what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, someone, please. All right, so the best thing I can do now is teach what I could have done better. You can sketch. You can do little sketches with paint. I wish I could tell myself that. You can sketch stuff out with paint. Every paint bit you put down doesn't have to be the final paint bit. Oh, and then his eyebrows. Yeah, his lovely eyebrows. I'm still using a ginormous brush right now, and I'm not getting any of the detail I could have gotten. And the beard is blue because none of the paint is dry. All right, so now I'm going in with the shadows again, and of course the shadows don't match any of the shadows from the face. But here's the next day. I decided to do outlining because I'm an idiot with this dark blue. And honestly, it was a smart choice, but I did it wrong because you can see, once again, the paintbrush I'm using is massive. Massive. I also made the eyebrows way too big. They're popping off his face. There is no depth in his face except for the eyes, which is what I'll add in a minute. So his hair has lost all the translucentness. It is just white, a little bit of gray, and blue on top. And then I gave him all of these wrinkles, which also don't look real. He's very cartoony, which is my style, but it's not even my style cartoony. So then I start with the eyes. I made them so dark. so dark in the beginning, but don't worry, I fixed them because I wanted them to pop. This is just the shape, which honestly, this is such a great idea, but I could have just done this in the beginning when I could have still touched them up before I did the skin. Look at how uneven that is. One eye is so much higher than the other, and so that eye just became bigger than the other. So one eye is massive and the other eye is small. Look at this. This is ridiculous. So after finishing that, I don't wait for the paint to dry because who needs to wait for the paint to dry? Not me. Not me, apparently. Before immediately going in with a much lighter blue, which no, I'm doing more. Oh yeah, I'm spreading this blue because I feel like it should tie in with the eyes. I'm spreading it places because I still have a bunch on my brush, but I hate it. So I'm trying to convince myself that what I'm doing is good before just mixing another paint and actually, yeah, see, look, I'm trying to do highlights. What is this? And I ended up just making a lighter blue. Yeah, see? I didn't even mix a lighter blue. I just smeared the white everywhere. I forgot I did this. Oh my goodness. No, why did you do this? Oh, and what am I doing now? Yeah, just go in with your finger. That's fine. Oh yeah, I'm just putting it everywhere because, light's not a thing in this little drawing. There's no rendering. Well, this has been very painful, and I decided I was just done. But yeah, look at me pretending I wanted to do more, trying to convince myself it's not over. I can salvage this. No, yeah, I just walk away. It's for the best. It's for the best. It's for the best. Okay, so this is just another reminder that where I'm at in my art journey is very different from where you might be at, and you do not need to compare what I think is bad to what you think is good, because for me, this was a low, but for other people, this might look phenomenal, which, thank you, if you think it looks phenomenal. You should check out my channel and look at the other stuff I do, because wow, okay. And I feel like it's important not to criticize yourself as an artist, but to see how much you've grown. And I feel like I can look back at this and see how much I've grown. It's honestly not that bad. Here I'm going in and doing the background again, which thank goodness I did this in such a much darker color because he just blended in with the background, and making the background darker meant it didn't look so much like a painting. It still looks like a painting. Honestly, it didn't turn out that bad. I'm just being mean to myself. But I feel like if I could rewatch this video every week and say I could have done better, I could remake this painting 100 times, which I won't do. This was so painful to paint. I hate school projects, but at least I got to paint something, No, it was just nice to paint, honestly. And I'm so glad I found gouache because that is my new favorite medium. I'll show my painting again, my sweet baby. I love that painting. And honestly, it was just good to learn how values work. Also, if you look at my paint palette, it is all the blue is gone because this is a monochromatic painting. It's so funny. I have all blues are used, and it's like little to no reds and pinks because I've only used blues in my paintings so far. It's hilarious. Sorry, my throat. It's been a little scratchy lately, but I'm fine. Anyway, this painting, it's a fine painting. There's nothing interesting about it, but I'm glad I videoed it so I can look back on it later and see how much more I hate it. Okay, thanks for watching. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Goodbye.